is Esther Nwachukwu, and these are the top stories. Kebbi government sacks aide for posting indecent content on WhatsApp. Femi Adesina blasts Matthew Kukah over comment on Buhari's corrupt administration. Labour Party discloses APC already planning for rerun. And on stories outside the shores of Nigeria, Zelensky says NATO absorbed for membership delay. Details now. Dr. Nasiru Idris, governor of Kebbi State, has sacked his special advisor on youth for posting homosexual content on his WhatsApp status. The post made by the aide Babangida Sariki generated condemnation on social media. Reacting in a statement issued in Kebbi State, the government official's Twitter page, it said that the sack of the senior advisor was a sequel to an indecent post he made on his WhatsApp status. The statement said the governor was enraged by the obnoxious development, stating that the aide trampled on the moral and social ethos of the Kebbi society, which is largely Islamic. And we're going to talk about that while the news continues. Meanwhile, Femi Adesina, a former aide to ex-President Muhammadu Buhari, has knocked Matthew Kukah, Bishop of Sokoto Catholic Diocese, over recent critical comments of the immediate past government. Speaking on Monday at the 60th anniversary of the calls of the bar of legal luminary Afe Babalola, a senior advocate of Nigerian Ado-Ekiti, Kukah had said corruption became its ugliest under former President Muhammadu Buhari. Citing Daura, Buhari's hometown in Katsina State, as an example, Kukah said, while in power, many leaders develop their communities at the expense of others. Reacting as well, Adesina in a tweet this morning said Kukah was pained because former President Buhari did not patronize him like he benefited from past leaders. And he said, and I quote, "Who listens to that bishop again? He is too pained that he got no under the cassock patronage from Buhari, unlike in the past." As well, he quoted one of the songs of Timaya. Now, in order for us to actually talk about the statement from Femi Adesina, I have via the telephone Barrister Eze Eluche, who is a legal practitioner, a political commentator, as well as a social affairs commentator. Barrister Eze, good afternoon and welcome to the World News at 12 right here on VOP 90.3 FM.
Yeah, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. Okay, so you heard what Femi Adesina actually said in reaction to what Matthew Kukah said yesterday. Yesterday, Matthew Kukah said that former President Muhammadu Buhari's administration was the worst in terms of corruption since 1999. And he stated that the corruption was so endemic, it was contrary to the president's manifesto in fighting corruption and economic resuscitation based on his campaign tripod. Do you agree with what Femi Adesina's response is, or would you say his response was rather petty and unrealistic?
Well, the comment made by Femi Adesina is not unexpected of the character of his yoke. This was a man who, as chief spokesperson of the president, when some parts of the country were complaining that their lands were being taken away, he asked, what would they prefer? Would they prefer to lose their land or lose their life? So any comment made by such a character, Nigerians should know where to place it. With regards to his trying to malign the character and person of Bishop Kukah, it is quite unfortunate, because what Kukah said was what Nigerians lived through for the past 8 years of the Buhari administration.
Okay.
The debilitating poverty, the pauperization of the people, the reduction in the lifespan of Nigerians, even the quality of lives of Nigeria. Nigeria became the poverty capital of the world. Every day we were witnessing ethnic cleansing across the polity. So what Kukah said was normal, was the natural thing. So the reaction from Femi Adesina is not unexpected, because these were sycophants who believed in licking the boots of whoever was ruling. So, I mean, it's not even worth commenting on. People understand when a Femi Adesina makes such comments, and they know where to put people of his ilk.
All right, Barrister Ezra, let's look at what Kukah actually said in that particular gathering when he emphasized or made these comments that Femi Adesina is reacting to. In his keynote speech, he said that under the last administration, corruption was more amplified in moral areas, in financial areas, and other terms. And he actually said that it was quite unfortunate because it felt like Buhari did not feel the pains and the grunts of Nigerians, literally almost like he was existing without any recourse to what was going on in the polity. He mentioned the fact that during the cash crunch, how Nigerians literally suffered and almost died, where there was adulterated petrol and there was no explanation. Corruption went underway and no panel was set up. Individuals who went against the law literally went scot-free so long as they belonged to the APC government. And he said that because of former President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, a lot of Nigerians lost faith in the judiciary because it felt like there was a lot of influence in the judiciary. So what Matthew Kukah said yesterday, is it something that is not what a lot of Nigerians have been complaining or talking about?
Well, like I said earlier, during the Buhari era, there was a common and popular maxim that once you join the APC, your sins are forgiven.
Okay.
Your looting are forgiven. Your crimes are forgiven. And we saw it happen severally. Politicians who were being prosecuted for humongous amounts of money, for having stolen so much money, the moment they declare for APC, they become like saints. The EFCC stops prosecuting them. I mean, they become like saints. The senators, it was common. It was replicated everywhere. So what Bishop Kukah stated were faultless facts. I mean, in every ramification, is it in the judiciary? We saw how during the Buhari regime, the police authorities and the judiciary was used to malign the former Senate president. In fact, the Senate president, Olusegun Saraki, was once even charged for armed robbery, only for the real armed robbers to come and reveal that they were paid by the state authorities to come and testify against Saraki. So the instruments of government was used for corruption, manifested corruption, and it was seen everywhere. So why, like I said earlier, the statement by people like Femi Adesina is not worth responding to. It's like asking somebody to respond to statements that somebody like Garba Shehu will make now. What do you expect from such characters who licked the ass of the immediate past regime? They will, of course, try to defend their master, forgetting that their master also ran away from Nigeria after he left office. He said he was going to rest. So the corruption went in leaps and bounds under the Buhari regime, and that is not in doubt. And we can even see it from the statement by Mr. Bola Tinubu in his inaugural speech as ECOWAS chairman. Tinubu stated, Nigeria is back. That means Tinubu knew that in the 8 years of Buhari, in all ramifications, Nigeria was lost in the wilderness. The final phrase President Tinubu used in the ECOWAS meeting at Guinea-Bissau was, Nigeria is back. And we should underline that. Buhari's regime was a monumental disaster. We only pray and hope that Mr. Tinubu will actually actualize what he said by saying Nigeria is back. Let us come back to our senses, for goodness sake.
All right. Okay, so here is also another development which I actually want to get your input on. The national chairman of the Labour Party, Mr. Julius Aburi, has urged members of the party to be alert following information that he said was available to him that the All Progressives Congress was already preparing for a possible rerun of the 2023 presidential election. Now, I do know that we don't want to dwell in speculation, but coming from the national chairman, I don't know if it is a situation where they just want to set up a panic button, or I really can't understand what this concept is. But he explained further that because the ruling party was aware that the tide was heavily tilted against it in the ongoing legal challenge to the presidential election results as declared by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Abure said this during an online meeting he held with the Nigerian American Coalition for Justice and Democracy, led by one Professor Eddie Oporoji, the Labour Party diaspora chairman in the United States in Abuja yesterday. Now, the acting National Publicity Secretary of the party, Obiara Ifo, in a statement, quoted Abure as calling on the over 10 million members of the party to be on the alert and get ready to further, he made a condescending statement, which I do not want to read out on air, on the APC and its government in the polls if their sinister plot fails to materialize. And so he said that rumors have it. He said rumors have it that those in government are already planning for a rerun, and this is one of the support they're conversing from the people. Remember earlier when I was reading out this comment, I said, I really do not know how, this particular statement is from Julius Abure, but coming from the spokesperson saying that rumors have it, well, it possibly means that they do not really have anything concrete. He went further to alert that they strongly believe that the Labour Party won the elections given the statistics that they have, given the result that they had and they presented at the Election Petition Tribunal. However, he said that they're not expecting anything less than the declaration of Peter Obi as a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But supposing that did not happen, as the government is believed to be planning for a rerun, it will not also be out of place to prepare for a rerun of the election. Having said this, he says he must state clearly that they have put all their evidence before the court and they're very hopeful that the tribunal will act in their favor. Now, do you think this is a way of trying to push the hand of the decision of the tribunal? All the cases have been heard at the Election Petition Court, and it's now time for them to put out their summaries. I think the court gave them about 10 days to write a final summary of all the cases that they have presented and let the judges, make their case. By either September, we should know exactly what the conclusion would be on the presidential election and possibly the governorship election that, some of the political parties have with the current administration, that is whatever it is they're opposing. Do you think that this particular expression by Julius Abure and the Labour Party spokesperson is far-fetched? Do you think that this is one of the situations where they should possibly be patient and wait to see how the outcome of the court will be before raising such an alarm?
Well, it cannot be given for a minute. Ordinarily, one can take it that the Labour Party chairman was making a political comment by saying there is already rumors of plans to have a rerun.
No, the Labour Party chairman said he has specific facts. It is a spokesperson who now reported by saying there are rumors. So that's why I asked. But yes, the spokesperson, Obiara Ifo, said there are rumors.
Well, whatever, what we can still categorize what the Labour Party chairman was saying as being political.
Okay.
Because already the case is before the court. But in reality, when you look at this, what transpired during the case in the Election Petition Tribunal, you realize that the APC and their presidential candidate had no defense. They only produced just one witness. INEC produced one witness, the APC produced one witness, and then that was all. They have no defense to the very strong evidence that was produced before the court by both the PDP and the Labour Party. So it is clear that they have a plan B. Like people like us have severally asked that we should not have had an inauguration until all issues were dispensed with. Because what the government is now doing is trying to strengthen itself, position itself for any fallout, whether it's going to be a rerun or whether it could be a fresh election. So the fact is very clear. There are no credible defense to the very serious allegations channeled and marshaled by the Labour Party and the PDP in the tribunals. APC will certainly be preparing for either a rerun or a total fresh election. Because INEC indeed messed up in the elections of 25th of February 2023.
Okay, Barrister, I want to ask, in what way, how is APC going to go about a rerun? That is a responsibility of INEC. If the court, we're not going to push the hand of the court. We're not going to help the court stipulate anything. But if it eventually gets to that point where there has to be a rerun, is it not INEC that will be asked to organize a rerun? In what way will the APC be the ones to organize a rerun?
No, if there will be a rerun, I mean, all that happens is that the Senate president assumes the presidency. Because what the court will now order is that both Mr. President and his vice will have to step out of office And the
Okay.
next in line in order of procedure and precedence in this country is the office of the Senate President, which means that we will have now Mr. Fabio, the current Senate President,
Leading
being
the
the acting
government.
president. Yes, he will be the acting president whilst INEC conduct the election. So that is that's what will transpire. Perhaps that was why, in the build-up towards this plan, the president ensured that his candidate won the position of Senate presidency, because that position becomes vital, becomes the acting president, and has a lot of powers to oversee events, maybe even manipulate the same INEC processes. So it was not a mistake for Mr. President to have insisted on his own candidate emerging as the Senate President.
Okay.
And perhaps that is what the Labour Party chieftain is saying as part of the preparations towards a rerun or towards fresh election. Because certainly the President and his vice will not remain in office for the period when that process or procedure will be taking place. And this is not going to be less than between 3 to 6 months.
All right, Barrister Ezra, let's look at this a little bit, because it's quite confusing when I read out this particular story, and the reason why I talked about it is he went there. It was quite a lengthy piece. The conversation was quite a lengthy one. So he said in 9 months they were able to change the political narratives of the country, and that they must build on that success so that they can have a more formidable party. And now, in his contribution, the director of the Obi Dati presidential campaign, Ambassador Oseloka Obaze, urged the Obi Dati members in diaspora to see the struggle for recovering of the party's mandate as a collective responsibility, and that one has no need but actually not to abandon that responsibility for any reason. Would some critics might actually say this statement seems like it's a campaign, sort of, if at all there is going to be a rerun, this is an opportunity to campaign. For Julius Abure to have made that statement, no one knows if it's a conspiracy theory. No one knows exactly how factual that statement is. But based on what you just analyzed, there could be a level of logicality in that line of thought, or in that concept, if one needs to think about it in that way. Now, there have been a lot of advocacy. There have been a lot of human rights, individual human rights organizations. There have been advocacy groups who have been trying to engage for peace and unity, as the cases are already at the Election Petition Tribunal. With how things have been, and with the presentation of all their evidences, I remember you said the other day when we had a conversation that for the court, what matters to them is evidence. Beyond whatever facts anybody says, if there is no evidence to back up the claim, if there is no evidence to back up the anomaly that is being brought to the court, then nothing can hold sway, and it is what the judges will rely on. But also, if you only have one witness and you have a stronger evidence, there's a tendency that even if you did not present any witness, the case may be in your favor. Is there a possibility of that? Is that how it works?
Oh, certainly. If the other side did not present much and you feel there is no case to answer, you may not even need to present a witness. But mind you, in this instance, Nigerians were preview, we watched it, we followed it, we had recordings of what transpired in Parliament, and we all heard and saw the weight of evidence that was produced and abused in court by both the Labour Party and the PDP. So in that instance, for the INEC, for APC to only bring in one witness who did not even bother to cover the field of issues raised, that tells you that they knew they have no defense. For instance, the issue of 25% in Abuja being mandatory, which is a constitutional requirement. What defense can anybody have to that? Nothing. For the issue of payment of 460,000 fine, fraud and dishonesty, which even the APC witness came to say, yes, it really transpired. What other defense can anybody have to that? So, the issues are very, very clear and straightforward, and we just hope that the courts will not repeat, give us a repeat of the nonsensical judgment in the Hope Uzodinma matter.
Okay.
Where somebody who was fourth became the number one governor.
Yes.
Or also a similar nonsensical judgment in the Lawan matter, the former Senate president, where somebody who did not contest for senatorial primaries was forced as a senator. And I'm using this word nonsensical because it's agreed in the legal profession that those two judgments were absolutely nonsensical.
But in the case of Machina, if we need to look at it, I think the judgment said it was based on technicality or something, or whatever evidence that was presented, or the method through which the case was written. I mean, it was quite a little bit confusing when it was being explained at the time. And that sometimes when cases are not properly written in terms of the context the case is meant to be adjudged for, it may not work in favor of whoever it is that is seeking the court to intervene in the matter. That's basically that particular scenario.
No. Now, let me correct that. Let me correct that notion.
Okay.
Courts are a court of law and justice. Court of law and justice. So the law is the technicality and the justice is obvious.
All right.
So and justice always triumphs law.
Okay.
Then you cannot sacrifice justice on the altar of technicalities. These are what people are taught in the first year in law school.
In law school.
You do not sacrifice justice on the altar of technicalities. So whatever technicalities was alluded, the fact remains that Lawan, for instance, did not contest in the primaries. So whatever technicalities are there, you don't bring model of the issue, or that the Hope Uzodinma was fought in the election, and you, from whatever reason, made him the governor. You don't refer to technicalities because it is unjust, it is inhuman. It is clear and abhorrent to just the sense of justice.
Now, is it fair to say that Nigerians are actually quite a little bit skeptical with whatever decisions the judges may have to come up with, considering what transpired with the Hope Uzodinma case? That is a judgment with the Hope Uzodinma case and that of Ahmed Lawan.
Oh, certainly. In fact, the judiciary began to lose its stature. The extent to which people held the judiciary, in fact, lawyers were now being mocked by the chance of go to court. And go to court is not intended as something lofty. It was like a shaming the judiciary, knowing that you can buy justice. You are not told to go to court. So clearly, Nigerians are becoming disenchanted with the system, with the judicial process, and the judges know it. So we only pray and hope that those who are occupying, those who are sitting at the tribunals and who are now at the appellate, the Supreme Court, will realize this and begin to right wrongs, begin to reposition the justice sector as the last hope of the common man. Because presently, many people do not see it in that way, and that perception of justice affects lawyers, affects judges, affects even the rule of law in the country.
All right, Barrister Eze Luche, I really do appreciate you for taking your time, because we actually talked about several issues of the World News at 12 today. I really appreciate you taking your time to explain this. But let's hope that the clamor or whatever it is Julius Abure is actually stating out, at the press at the moment is not actually what it is, because I don't think at this point in time where it seems like our democracy is on a thin line, it will not help at all. We're supposed to try as much as possible to create a sense of healing. And if we need to go forward, if we need to have a more unified country, a lot of healing needs to be done. Let's just hope that this particular statement, is not actually what it is, like he said that he has heard, in as much as the spokesperson said.
No, I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I actually hope that it happens that way.
Okay.
Because Nigerians know that what happened on 22nd of February 2023 was a sham. So if it requires us to go for a rerun of fresh elections, so be it.
No, what I'm referring to is the fact that him saying that he has authenticated information that the APC is already going for a rerun. He's already saying that already. He's putting it out there. The court has not come to any conclusion yet. So for him to have that kind of foreknowledge, it's not something that anyone would want to be out there. If in actuality, if it is true, then I don't think that should happen until we hear what the court wants to say as regards to the case already at the Election Petition Tribunal.
Okay, I agree with you, but that's why I said it was being political. Those were political statements. And as a politician, if you don't speak with 100% assurance, your players may not even agree with you. So he was being political. And that was a political statement, nothing more than that.
All right. Thank you so much, Barrister Eze. I really do appreciate you taking your time.
Thank you for having me on board.
All right. On stories outside the shores of Nigeria, President Zelensky hits out at NATO for what he sees as delays to making Ukraine a member. He says it's unprecedented and absurd not to have a time frame for Ukraine's membership. Uncertainty, he says, is weakness, and it needs to be openly discussed. Earlier, NATO boss Jens Stoltenberg insisted Ukraine would get a clear message, a positive message on membership. Membership can take decades to achieve, but Ukraine wants a much quicker timeline. NATO offers collective security as countries are obliged to defend fellow members that come under attack. Also, Kiev is accepting it cannot join while it's at war because NATO countries must defend each other. However, NATO allies are loggerheads about Ukraine's membership when the Russian invasion ends. NATO previously agreed in 2008 that Ukraine will become a member at some point. The UK wants it to be fast-tracked, and the Baltic states and Eastern European nations want the alliance to make clear what further conditions Ukraine needs to meet. But some allies, including the US and Germany, are more cautious. They want Kiev to tackle corruption, strengthen the judiciary, and ensure civilian control over military first. They are also worried that it could lead to NATO being dragged into the war. Now, to wrap up the world news at 12, here again are the top stories. You heard that Kebbi government had sacked the aide for posting indecent content on WhatsApp. Also, Femi Adesina blasts Matthew Kukah over comment on former President Muhammadu Buhari's corrupt administration. Labour Party discloses APC already planning a rerun. And on stories outside the shores of Nigeria, Zelensky says NATO absurd for Ukraine membership delay. That is a wrap on the world news right here on VOP 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Mwachuku. Good afternoon. Thank you for listening. Up next is Matters with Ekami Judah.